Welcome to Bet On. I'm Kelly Stewart, your host. Tonight we're going to break down this week's NFL card with Gianni, the Greek gambler, and Marco D'Angelo. Let's get this week's show started. We got some primetime games. We got a Saturday edition. We have 3 games on Saturday this week in the NFL, and of course Sunday and Monday night. All right, Rams at San Francisco. San Francisco 6.5-point favorite after the Rams just got absolutely embarrassed by the Cowboys, Marco. That was a fun one. Total 46.
Yeah, was a fun one. We'll talk about this game a little bit more in a later segment. But Kelly, this is the premier game on Saturday. Actually, 3 good games on Saturday. Talk about being in front of a TV. I'm trying to decide if I want to go to the Las Vegas Bowl on Saturday or watch these 3 games.
I will just have the game on my smartphone at the Las Vegas Bowl.
Okay. See, that's why you're Kelly in Vegas. The second one to get in Vegas. But we look at this one, Kelly, and I got to go with the Rams here. We were against the Rams last week, and I know San Francisco, it was a flat spot. There's no question. I mean, they were coming off that epic game against the Saints, and then they had this game on deck. How do you get excited for Atlanta? Even though Atlanta's playing better, they were so dismal all season. It was a look-ahead spot. But now you look deeper at San Francisco. The injuries are mounting on this defense. And what was a solid defense all season, now all of a sudden, the last 2 weeks, they've given up 46 points to the Saints. They gave up 29 points last week. Now, some of those points were fluky at the end with the things that happened.
The thing with the Falcons was I think the general public's going to look at this and say that was a crazy win, right? All these fluky things had to happen in order for San Francisco not to win that game.
And they're going to look at the first meeting of the season where San Francisco just absolutely blew the doors off of the Rams in L.A. But, Kelly, these are not the same 2 teams that played at the beginning of the season. I think, as I said, with the injuries taking its toll on the defense for San Francisco, and the Rams, until last week, were playing better football. I think that this number, I have to take the points with the Rams. I think they can stay with San Francisco in this one.
Are you in agreement with Marco there, VR?
Yeah, I do have to agree with Marco. I mean, listen, San Francisco's has a great year. They're 11-3, and their season win total was 8 games. So they've done a really good job, where for the Rams, it's kind of the flip side. They've been a disappointment, even though they're sitting at 8-6. Not bad.
Are they, though? I mean, as a Super Bowl loser, are they
kind
really
of
that much of a disappointment?
I mean, your season wins was 10.5. I think with the over-favored, you're supposed to you just came off a Super Bowl. I don't know. I mean, they play better on the road than they have at home this year. They score more and they allow less points. So I think it's a good spot for the Rams. I like the under also. That first game went way under, and usually I'd be a little cautious because of that. But I think this is another game that we should not see a ton of points scored. I know one of the groups I provide accounts for went under 46. I kind of agree with that.
All right, I'm going to stick with you here. Kansas City at Chicago. Kansas City now a 6-point favorite, total of 45.
This is, again, what
I
you're
was
waiting
on the Bears
for it. You're waiting for it, right? You're waiting for it. It has nothing to do with fading Kansas City just because it's Kansas City. It has to do with trying to get the best of it, and I think the Chicago Bears offer that to us in this game. This is a team that, I don't know, they're playing well of late. They've won 3 of their last 4 games.
They had won 4 of their last 5 up until that loss to Green Bay.
A game they could have very easily won.
The back door was open. They had opportunities.
They turned the ball over 3 times and still only lost by a possession. You know, they didn't get blown out. On the road, you're -3 in turnovers. Usually you're looking up at 3 touchdown loss at least. So I like what I'm seeing from Chicago. I think there's a letdown for Kansas City. I mean, we've been saying that over and over. It's a team that's covered 4 straight. You're being asked to pay a premium for certain.
Especially on the road, hostile environment.
Yeah, I mean, for me,
Bears fans are mad. Trust me. You should see my Twitter.
It's Bears or pass. For them, this is not a Super Bowl, but it's a Sunday night primetime game on TV against Kansas City. If they have anything, and I think they do, because coming into the season, not too many expected this from Chicago, I like the Bears.
All right, Marco, do you agree with VR?
I do. This is a spot. And remember, last week Chicago officially got eliminated, with that loss. So they're out of the playoff picture. And normally when that happens, you're going to look to fade the team. But there's 2 big points here. As you said, this is a primetime game. They're going to want to show up. They're going to want to play for pride. I think they do that. 2, we're getting the better defense getting points. You know I love that formula if I got the better defense. And I know everybody's going to say, Marco, Kansas City, they allowed 9 points, 16 and 3 in their last 3 games. Just stop, okay? And go back before that one, 17 to the Chargers. Phillip Rivers threw how many interceptions in the Charger game? Then against New England, they can't score against anybody. Well, they did last week, the Bungles, but everybody does. Last week, Denver in a snowstorm with a rookie quarterback. The defense is still not good for Kansas City. And for Mitchell Trubisky, I think now that they're out of the playoffs, you might actually see his
off.
best game.
Yeah.
There's no pressure on him. He has played better the last few weeks. I think you're going to see maybe his best game of the season.
I agree.
On Sunday night. I got Chicago.
I think that's fair. I'm glad we're all in agreement. All right, Monday night, Green Bay's headed to Minneapolis. Vikings 4.5-point favorite. Even higher offshore, up to 5.5. 45.5 is the total across the board.
You look at this one, and I'm going to be on the home team here. Now, Minnesota, they're vying for the wild card. That's where they're at. They still have an outside shot to win the division. They have to win their last 2. Green Bay's got to, stub their toe both this week and next week. But they got to get this one to start it, and I think Minnesota does. We've talked about Green Bay how many times over the last couple weeks. The sharps, wise guys, whatever category you want to put them in, every week we've seen that early bet go against Green Bay. Yeah. Why? Because you look at the numbers. Green Bay, and you talked about it in the Chicago game, they were +3 in turnovers at home against Chicago.
Still couldn't get a
They couldn't
distance.
get separation. Yeah. This is a team that got outgained again last week. They've been continually getting outgained. And you know what? For all the talk about Aaron Rodgers, 21 points last week, 20 points the week before against Washington. Yeah, they had the 31 against the Giants. They had +3 turnovers in that game. But the week before that, they only had 8 against San Francisco. I think this offense is struggling. I think that now that people have game film on Matt LaFleur's offense, that they're prepared for it at the beginning of the season. New head coach, new scheme, didn't know what to expect. I'm going with Minnesota here, and why not? They've got 4 losses on the season. All 4 of them were on the road. Zimmer at home, I know you love him, Kelly.
I was just getting ready to say that's what I was doing while you were talking, not to be rude, but there was still a 5 available in Vegas. I had to get it.
You had to get it.
Well, because I do like Minnesota a lot here. I agree with you. I love Coach Zimmer and what he's able to do. The only problem is Dalvin Cook going to be back or not? Is Adam Thielen 100% or not? Those were my concerns, which is why I hadn't bet it yet.
The backups played well at the running back position for it. He's not Cook, but he's played well. And Kirk Cousins, the only thing we got to throw out there, it is a Monday night game. He's still got that stigma of the Monday night.
He does, but I'm looking here. Aaron Rodgers, God, I don't know what's going on with him, but he's barely completing 50% of his passes. I kind of mentioned this over the last few years since the absence of Jordy Nelson. Now Randall Cobb's gone. When you have Devontae Adams and that's it, life's not so great for Aaron Rodgers. I mean, unfortunately, Valdez-Scantling is not a good receiver. We've seen him drop so many passes. If I'm Aaron Rodgers, I'm done with him.
And if you remember the first meeting this year between the two, Green Bay at home jumped out to a 21-0 lead.
Yes, they did.
Early in the second quarter, that was one of the games where Kirk Cousins had a ton of interceptions, and they fell behind. But Minnesota didn't give up in that game. They come charging back and made a game of it, and Green Bay was life or death to hold on for the victory, 21-16.
All right, Marco's not wrong. All right, we're out of time. Up next, we're going to dig inside the numbers.
Get $25 in wager bucks added to your account after your first purchase at wagertalk.com and sportsmemo.com. This is just our way of saying thank you for joining the Wager Talk and Sports Memo family.
Did you know every Tuesday is $2 Tuesday at wagertalk.com? We pick the hottest handicapper and offer his best bet for just $2. This is a great way to introduce yourself to the winning handicappers at wagertalk and sportsmemo.com. Whoops, we cut that one a little too close. I didn't get to get VR's opinion. VR, talk to me about the Monday night game real quick.
Yeah, and I like this game. Real quick, I'm not keeping my screen open. I said it in the last one, but just in case everyone doesn't watch college and the NFL shows, I'm watching stuff come in. Again, I'm betting this stuff as it comes in. I have to decide whether I'm going to piggyback it, share it with subscribers, make a long story short. That's what I'm doing here. And in the last show, one of the groups bet Utah State -6.5. On this show, one group right now just bet Kent State +7. That's my life every day.
This
That's
is
what
my
I go
life.
with every day.
And that's
Now,
about the number.
Are you constantly in
That's
a
what you do.
glass case of emotion?
Yeah, that's my life every day, all day. While I'm not making Antonio Brown memes on Sundays. I like Minnesota in that game. I like the under as well. I'll use it in my teaser section. We're going to do the teasers. Minnesota, I think, is a great teaser bet. They don't lose at home. This team just, I think they're going to cover this game also, but they do not lose at home. I wish I would have bet the -200 money line when it opened right away.
Yeah,
because I think that was a
now.
steal. I think the true implied odds are closer to -400. I think 80% chance they win this game straight up. Covering, it's a different story. But again, that's the only way I could go, Minnesota or pass.
All right, Marco, let's talk about these biggest movers here. Let's start off with the Saturday game. Houston at Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay opened a 1-point favorite. Now, Houston -3? It's so weird.
Well, Tampa Bay is banged up at the wide receiver position.
Okay.
And, how many picks is Jameis going to have?
And
But he's throwing more TD passes. So
he's 30 for 30 in real life.
Yeah. But the reason for this one is Houston, this is a big game for Houston. They still have to win. They got a big game next week against Tennessee. But if they win this week and Tennessee has a game against the Saints, then they don't have the pressure next week of having to go to Tennessee and worrying about winning. So Houston's going to want to show up and take care of business, but Tennessee is a little bit banged up, or not Tennessee, Tampa Bay's banged up, and that's
Before
why
we go to the next game, on that one real quick, what's surprising the most, the total. Tampa Bay, we joke about, can you just blindly bet the over? Once again, sit back because the betting syndicates love the under in this game. The first group, bet under
not
53.
lying.
The second one, bet under 52.5. The third one, bet under 51.5. So constantly betting this under on this Houston-Tampa Bay game.
All right, VR, I'm going to stick with you. Oakland at the Chargers. Chargers opened a 5-point favorite, now 6.5.
Listen, the Chargers are one of those teams where they've been the disappointment to me. I thought coming into the season they offered a ton of value. Just not the case. Listen, the Raiders beat them earlier in the season. It was a coin flip. They beat them by, 2 points? Probably what should happen here. I don't like the game at all. Is it warranted? Probably.
All right, New Orleans at Tennessee. New Orleans, nice Monday night showing. So now they open as a 1.5-point favorite, now -3 at Tennessee.
Yeah, and it's a big game for Tennessee. Tennessee needs this for their playoff lives, and yet that's how much love we're seeing for the Saints. And why not? 2 weeks ago, the epic game, 48-46. You can't look any better in losing than the Saints did. And then, my God, could you look any better in winning on Monday night?
No, they absolutely dominated
I know
that
you
game.
and I both were on the under, and we were at
I was
Caesars.
mad that I had to sweat that.
Yeah, it was horrible because they wanted to get Drew Brees' record. And they kept passing and passing. I said, please, could you please hand off a little bit? Run some clock here. But this is an overreaction to what you've seen the last 2 weeks from the Saints.
All right, VR, Cincinnati at Miami. Open Miami -3. Bengals getting some love now. Miami -1.
I can't disagree with it. Who's Miami to be favorites? Again, I get it, they're home, but how much of a home field advantage do the Miami Dolphins truly have? And Cincinnati, again, they're a one-win team. They haven't won a single road game. In fact, they get outscored by, 8-9 points on the road. But it's one of these games. I think it's a coin flip. So, getting points is the only way you could look at it, I would think, and that's why I believe it is warranted and why the sharp money took the points early.
All right, Marco, revenge spot here. Baltimore was -7, now -10 at Cleveland. This is interesting.
Well, you want to talk about two teams that are absolutely going in opposite directions. Yes, it's a revenge game. Hard to believe that the Cleveland Browns went to Baltimore and beat up on them. It was a sound victory. Baltimore looks as good as anybody in the NFL right now, and everybody's seen it because they've been on primetime games.
A lot.
And, the Thursday night game, every time the Jets gave you just a little thought that they might make a game of it, what do? Lamar Jackson goes down the field for another. And Lamar Jackson wasn't 100% in that game.
I was shocked that they kept him in as long as they did.
Yeah, and playing on the short week. Now Baltimore has the 3 extra days, so he's going to be 100%. They want to wrap this up. I'm hoping they wrap it up so that when they play next week, the Steelers, they rest their
play.
I would love that because then my Steelers season win total over.
Yeah, so I hope. But this is just an overreaction. I can't say it's an overreaction. It's warranted. You've got players on Cleveland that are voicing they want traded.
Yeah, they want to be out of
They
there.
want out. And you know who's going to be out? Freddie Kitchens.
Probably. All right, VR, Dallas at Philly. They opened to pick 'em. Oh, and then that was the look ahead line. Then Dallas -3. Now we're seeing some love for the Eagles. Lines across the board is Dallas -2.5.
I think the Eagles are the right side here, and I think if you could get them at the field goal, it's definitely the right side. Dallas, they showed up last week, and I think they had to show up. I mean, that was one of those games where, again, they were coming off a win against the Giants, but you were going to get tested against a LA Rams team, and you had to show you could be in there. Again, I think Philadelphia is the right side here, getting 3. Again, I haven't bet it myself, though.
Marco, Kansas City at Chicago, open KC -4. Now 6-point favorite at Soldier Field.
Yeah, this is an overreaction because what they're looking at is Kansas City is still playing for positioning. So they have something to play
Where
for.
Chicago don't, yeah.
Chicago got eliminated, and, you know, it's Mitchell Trubisky and it's Patrick Mahomes. You look at that matchup, and the public is going to want Kansas City.
Of course.
And let them. Keep betting.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
I would take a 6.5.
Get it up to 7. Let's
yeah.
be greedy.
I don't know. You think we're going to get up to
No,
7?
you'll never get to
Okay.
7 and that's something that we talked about on the college edition where we talked about numbers. That's a situation where there would be people that are advantage players that the minute that gets to
Yes,
7,
absolutely.
they're blindly betting
Yeah.
a number and not a team.
All right, VR, you alluded to the Minnesota Vikings being one part of your two-team teaser. Who is the second team?
I'm going to go with another team that rarely, if ever, loses at home. Instead of teasing up, we're going to tease down this week. We're not getting the benefit of the 7, but the 3 is important enough. So we're going to go with Minnesota, our first leg, and we're going to close it out with the Saturday game, the New England Patriots over the Buffalo Bills. I know how big of a game this is for the Buffalo Bills, but rest assured, this is a big game for the New England Patriots again, who want to show they are still the team to beat, not just in the AFC, but in the AFC East. They've lost 1 home game here already this year. How many seasons has New England lost 2 home games? Probably not that many over the last decade. So I like New England.
I think they've lost like 3 in the last 4 years or something absolutely ridiculous. All right, Marco, give us your teaser.
All right, I'm going to go to the Jacksonville-Atlanta game. And normally, Kelly, after the big win that Atlanta had last week against San Francisco, I would look to fade them because this has been a team that is underachieved for most of the season. However, they're playing hard right now, and there's a reason they're playing hard. The players
They don't want Dan Quinn to get fired?
Yep. They don't. They're playing for him, and they like him, and they're trying to keep him his job. So if I have a team at the end of the season that neither team has any reason to play for, but one is openly playing hard because they want to save their coach's job, Jacksonville was just, I know they beat the Raiders last week, and that was one of my plays last week, and that was the one I thought I was going to lose on Sunday.
That was shocking. I walked in the Westgate, and I'm like, oh, wow. I mean, I think it was like 17-3 or something when I left my house.
And they came back.
Because the narrative, Jacksonville quit. Remember going into that week? That was the team that quit.
That's what I kept
so
hearing.
Now all I got to do is tease Atlanta down to win the game. Yeah, I'm doing that. Second half of it, I had a lot of candidates that I looked at for the second half.
Denver Broncos.
No, that was not one of them.
There's a lot of really good teaser candidates this week, especially as fans.
I looked at taking the Jets against the Steelers, getting that up, but it's sitting at 3, which is not a teaser number per se. Then I looked the Giants, and I'm looking at Washington. How can I not tease the Giants and get them over the 3, the 4, the 6, and the 7? How does Washington, with that offense, that they're playing hard for Callahan, but Callahan's come out and said, we're playing 90s football. I mean, they're running the football. You're not going to get separation on that. Eli could throw 3.
I got to cut you off. We got to take a quick break, guys. When we return, it is time for the Steam and Trap Games of the Week from VR. Oh, Marco's got a sandwich for us. I lied.
Looking for more NFL betting info? Then tune into the Presidential Address each week when Wager Talk's own Lawrence Presman, the Prez, along with Ralph Michaels, break down this week's entire NFL card. The show is available every week exclusively at Wager Talk TV. If you like betting on horses, be sure to check out WagerTalk.com's own Sig, who zeroes on one racetrack at a time, offering his handicapping skills. Visit his homepage daily for his top selection in each race free. If you want all his selections for that track, you can get his full racing report for just $9.
Time for one of my favorite segments, and why? Because this one has been cashing all season long. VR is going to give us his NFL Steam Game of the Week. Marco, is the deli back open for business?
This will be the last week for the deli
Okay.
because we've got, can't have a sandwich next week when it's the last week of the season. We'll have to find a trap. But the sandwich and trap combo's been good, 10-5 for the season, Kelly.
Okay, I'm going to start off with VR. Give me your Steam Game of the Week. I know there's a ton of different Steam plays this week, but what is your favorite one?
Yeah, we're on a lot this week in the NFL. Hopefully it turns out well. I'll get you involved early on Saturday. The early game, actually, the Houston Texans bet now up to -3. The reason I really like them, besides all the stuff that Marco touched on, is if you look, Tampa Bay, they look good over the last 5-6 weeks. I get it. 5 of the last 6 games they have won, but 4 of those 5 games, they were favored. They were supposed to win those games. The market concluded they were favored in those games. On the Houston side, you look at their last 4 or 5 wins, I believe 3 or 4 of them, they were underdogs in those games. They outperformed what was expected of them. And again, you can't take weeks off when you're trying to get to the playoffs, trying to win divisions, whatever you have. I think Houston has so much more to play for. I mean, it's just the obvious play. We bet it at -2 and money line. So we were trying to get down as much as we could on this side. So guys I moved for liked it also a lot. I agree with the play. Houston it is.
All right, I know you mentioned, you kind of alluded to, you guys played a lot this week. Anything else you want to share with our viewers and myself?
Yeah, absolutely.
Kelly wants to get on her phone and make some bets.
There's just not a lot I love this week, and so that's why I like to ask and see. Because honestly, you and I talked about in the green room that I was looking towards the Bucs here going, what am I missing? This doesn't really make sense, but VR made some compelling points. So
We
why
bet under in the Rams already.
Okay.
We bet Jacksonville Jaguars.
Oh, I like the
We
Jaguars.
bet the New York Jets.
The Jets.
We bet the Philadelphia Eagles. We bet the Minnesota Vikings. And we bet under. Oh, no, sorry.
That would be why my Vikings went from 4.5 to 6 in the bat of an eye. Thanks, guys.
Under in Houston, Tampa, like I told you, 53 different times they bet that.
Which is just crazy.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. That looks
Okay,
legit.
cool.
That looks legit.
Awesome. That is interesting how you figure out what is legit and what is not. Because sometimes you look at it and you're going, I don't see this. And then come game day, next thing you know.
Like, of course, no wonder I didn't see it. 'Cause
Exactly.
They ain't betting it.
Okay, Marco, last meal at the deli.
I'm so
sad.
The final supper.
10-5 on the season. It was such a good.
We'll have one more next week. We'll have a trap next week. We'll
Yeah, but
find the
this is
trap.
the last day at the deli.
This is the last day of the day. You know what?
We're
When
gonna
I'm-
I'm getting extra pickles.
Yeah. Well, you
no
might
condiments.
need it to, cover the stench of the game of the team I'm giving
God,
you.
why do you love these stinky cheese sandwiches?
Well, that's what a sandwich is. You're going to be going against a
is it? I
good
gotta see
team.
it.
Going against a good team that's in a bad spot. Well,
Okay.
that good team
Give it
is
to us.
Seattle, and we're going to go against them with Arizona. And why not? First of all, Seattle has a monster game next week against the 49ers. Seattle is coming off of one of the most grueling stretches of schedule. They've played 4 of their last 5 games on the road. Now, when you think about Seattle, they're way up there in the Pacific Northwest. When they travel road games, some of their road games are long. They played down the coast to San Francisco to start this road trip. That's fine. But then they got to go cross country after that, play Philadelphia, fly back to Seattle to play that big Monday night game against Minnesota. Then they go cross country again. They went down the coast to the Rams, which was a big game for them, division game, everything else, but then had to go cross country to Carolina. And that game wasn't as close as the final score was
absolutely not.
last week. That 6 was never a 6-point game till the end. Now they come back home off of that win, and with San Francisco on deck, and they're playing Arizona. Didn't we beat the snot out of them earlier in the year, 27-10? At Arizona? This is a spot where they look past Arizona. And the one thing I will say about this Arizona Cardinal team,
They're
they're
scrappy.
playing hard.
I
They're
like
playing-
them. Yeah,
I
yeah.
heard them last
playing
week.
hard.
Yeah.
Kyler Murray's playing well for a rookie, and they put it on Cleveland last week. I mean, that was embarrassing for Cleveland. I like Arizona in this one. We're going to go ahead and take them. And here's a stat for you. This is a league-wide stat, and you hear Ralph, our stat guy, resident guy, he'll tell you that there's team-oriented stats, and then there's league-wide stats. And the league-wide stats have a little more bias to it because it's everybody involved. Over the last 10 years, if you played underdogs of 3.5 to 10 points, revenging a same-season loss, which, as we said, that's Arizona, and the opponent is coming, and you're coming off a home win, you would have gone 37-16 against the spread, blindly taking that angle, and that angle fits Arizona this week.
I'm stealing that, by the way.
Go ahead, take it. We're going Arizona for the final sandwich game of the week.
I don't think it was that stinky. You made it like
Yeah,
really
because they're getting a lot of
scary.
points. Yeah.
I was thinking you were going to say something terrible like the Lions or something just atrocious because Broncos are off that Chiefs play. Yeah. I don't think it's that bad. I kind of agree with you there.
All right.
I like it. We'll see. VR just give us a gauntlet of stuff. I'm over here with my screen. I'm surprised people don't complain about me being on my computer and my phone as much because I'm doing the exact opposite of what he's doing.
You're pretty, though. That's the difference. They don't mind what you're doing as long as they're watching you.
He's reporting what everybody else is doing. I'm over here like trying to click and furiously get in extra bets before they move, as well as, some of the apps. I'm having a good time. I enjoy the show. It's
Yeah, no pressure. It's fun.
yeah, it's been enjoyable. It's good stuff. All right, let's bring in. Marco alluded to it. Let's bring in our resident stat man, Mr. Ralph Michaels, for some TNA. I know Ralph's got some really good stuff dug up for us this week in the NFL. I begged him so hard to dress up like Santa Claus, you guys. I wanted it to. I thought it had been so great because he just brings us bountiful gifts every single week. So why not bring us more for Christmas? Either way, I tried.
Wouldn't take the bait.
I should have pretended like he did, and then when he showed up, I'm like, where's your Santa suit? But he would have been mad if I put him on the spot. Can't do that to Mr. Ralph. Santa Ralph. More like Scrooge Ralph.
Marco's gig is Santa. If you guys go back and check out last year's Christmas videos with Wager Talk, Marco had full Santa suit on. So, I was expecting it. I was disappointed.
I'm disappointed. But you know what I'm not disappointed with? All the gifts that just keep giving. That is your TNA stats. Tell me what you got for us this week. It's NFL Week 16. What could you possibly have? You have a whole laundry list over there.
Well, one I'm going to repeat because it worked out so well. And this made perfect sense since 2012. Teams that playing a division foe that lost the first game, and they're off a loss, and they're a favorite of 4 or more. The LA Chargers this week, 32-15, 68% in that mix. So, you're off a loss to the foe previously, you're off a loss as well, and you're the better team, 32-15. Here's one that, I found interesting, and I said, well, does it make sense? I didn't know whether to bring it on, and the more I thought about it, I thought it did. If you won your last division meeting and you turned the ball over 3 or more times, so you played sloppy, but yet you still won the game. The New York Giants are in that situation. This goes back since 2010. The teams that won their game against a division foe in a rematch and had 3 or more turnovers like the Giants did, 18-41, 29.5% against the spread. So you win a game in a sloppy manner the first game, you don't tend to win the second.
That's interesting because I don't want to lay points here with the Redskins.
Yeah.
So
again, I'm not telling you to bet the Redskins, but I agree with you.
Just saying maybe tread lightly if you're looking towards the Giants.
Here's one that, I didn't even write down who it applies to, but it just was intriguing me since 2010. If you're playing back-to-back road games in December, I thought it'd be a negative. You're tired and, but if you lost that first game as an away favorite, you've actually gone 17-7, 71%. So back-to-back road games, if you lost as a favorite, has been a positive. And this is one that little bit of an interesting mode here. Teams with a regular season win line of 8 or more. You're in the last 2 weeks of the season and you have 3 wins or fewer. So you were a team with some expectations.
Okay.
in Vegas. These are Vegas numbers. It's the end of the year and you only have 3 wins or less. Those teams have gone 0-11 against the spread. Oof. And like 1-10 over/under, averaging only 13.7 points per game. So, again, just something else to look at where if those expectations are already blown and it's the end of the year, do teams quit? I don't know. Week 17, Kelly, I did this week because if you're betting the early line next week, you get a jump on it. Double-digit favorites, week 17. Good or bad?
I feel like they got to be terrible.
13-6.
Really?
68% against the spread. So there
double-digit favorites going into week 17, huh?
Yeah, week 17, double-digit favorites. And I thought the same thing. I thought lines were going to be inflated. You had playoff need, and those are usually
and
situations.
You rest good players.
I looked, yeah, but since 2012, there's only been 20 double-digit favorites in week 17. They've gone 68.4%, 13-6. And one last one that I'm going to talk about. Teams in against division foes that lost as a home favorite. I mentioned this earlier in the year. That's going to be the Ravens over Cleveland. If you lost your first game as a home favorite and you're an away favorite, same season revenge, 12-4, 75% since 2014. So
my computer's really mad at me. I'm trying to get this double-digit favorites to open up for next week for some of the look-ahead lines.
Yeah.
Eagles.
The Eagles
are a 10-point favorite over the Redskins next week. Seahawks are 9.5-point favorites, which could get to double digits depending on how things play out this week.
So, yeah, we're looking at some unique situations. And, again, it's end of the year, but San Fran in a positive situation. Last one, week 8 on, late in the year, win percentage of 65% or more, and they lost as the home favorite. Okay. Saints won that in that role Monday night. San Fran's in that role this week, 28-4, 71%.
All right, I like it. Time for us to take a quick break. But when we return, it is time to walk the dogs. One of my favorite segments is up next on Bet On It.
Get the rest of 2019 from your favorite wagertalk.com or sportsmemo.com capper for just $119, which is what we normally sell 7 days for. This gets you all plays in all sports from your favorite capper, including all 5% plays that sell for $40 by themselves. Close out 2019 with a winning bang.
What a week we had last week, going a perfect 7-0 in football. Get the rest of my 2019 plays for just $119. That's what I normally sell 7 days for. This gets you all my plays in all sports, including all 5% plays. Those 5% plays sell for $40 by themselves. Close out 2019 with a winning bang. Go to wagertalk.com right now and get my year-end special for just $119.
Welcome back to Bet On It. Time for my favorite portion of the show. VR, I'm going to go to you first. Who are we sprinkling on this week in the NFL? This is my favorite segment, Barking Dogs.
We'll go ahead and play the Jacksonville Jaguars, catching 7.5, 7s. Yeah, I think this is a winnable game for them. Listen, they've looked terrible up until last week when they finally got that win against the Oakland Raiders as touchdown dogs. But let's not forget, man, I mean, the Atlanta Falcons came into this season not expecting to be playing this badly. I like what Marco had to say about the Atlanta Falcons, especially over the last couple of weeks. I mean, this is a team that's gone, 4-2 over the last 6 weeks. But the great equalizer becomes the point spread. And this is just a little too many points to be given Jacksonville for Atlanta. And that's the key. I mean, as far as winning the game straight up, Atlanta's probably going to get it done, but I just don't think, I'll use a word from Marco, that they'll be able to get that separation and win this one by double digits. Again, I'll take Jacksonville plus the points. Atlanta should be able to run on them. They don't run well. They haven't run well all season, but you can run on Jacksonville, and that's why I think it'll be a kind of a lower scoring type game, kind of a possession. Whoever wins is
just out of curiosity, do you think they are maybe overlooking? I mean, their last 2 games, the Saints, 49ers,
and now it's like, Jacksonville.
And Jacksonville narrative still quits.
When I first looked at this, to jump in with your game, this would have been a candidate for the sandwich game.
Right.
But because they've openly said we're playing hard for Quinn, that's what got me to the teaser. Hey, you know what I'm rooting for? Atlanta by 3. and then we're both happy. How's
Hey.
that?
I could see that.
Then, you know, it's
I could see that.
Christmas presents for everybody.
Everybody's unwrapping.
Should have been Marco Claus, damn it.
I just didn't know if that would, you know,
If it was too cheesy.
yeah, for the bet
The
on
answer is
show.
yes, but it
Yeah.
would still be funny.
Yeah,
Cheesy
it was
is
good.
funny
It was good.
sometimes.
It was good last year. You know, we brought it out.
I enjoyed it.
We,
Okay.
we had the segment on naughty or nice with me and you. That was quite popular.
Oh, good grief. Poor Marco. Okay, Marco, who is your barking dog for NFL Week 16?
All right, we are going to the city of brotherly love. And speaking of love, man, we didn't get any love last week on Twitter before the game. I mean, they were bashing us before the game was played. You and I both had best bets on the Dallas Cowboys last week.
I loved it.
You know,
I gave out Dallas
I'm not
first
gonna lie.
half, Dallas game, like to get more money on that.
Wednesday, when I gave it out on the show, when we both talked in the green room, I'm like, oh boy, like this is going to be really good or really bad. And I gave it out, I was at like a 6.5. But I was like, well, I got to stick by it. By Sunday afternoon, I took everything that I had that morning, which is bad bankroll management. I loved the Cowboys so much just because of how many people hated it. And I'm like, you
Yeah,
guys are giving
makes
me even
even
more
more sense.
ammunition.
we've gotten a lot of hate after a game's played. You know, when
makes
we lose
sense.
one. Okay, that is the biggest one that we had all year prior to the game. People telling us that we.
How about after? Any comments after?
I'm still waiting.
I had several people text me, hey, thank you so much. I
Okay.
would have been on the Rams.
Yeah.
But those are like personal, either
Yeah,
clients or
not
friends.
on Twitter. I sent out the Crickets tweet,
Good for
you know,
you.
because it was like, you know, where are
Yeah.
you guys all at? Well, you know what? This is the deja vu game because for every reason that we had the Dallas Cowboys last week, those are the same reasons to have the Philadelphia Eagles this week. Everybody now, because they smacked the Rams, now are jumping on the Dallas Cowboy bandwagon, and they're saying Philadelphia's lucky to win their last two
Yeah.
games. All right, they were life and death on Monday Night Football against the Eli Mannings, okay?
Both ugly divisional rivals here.
Okay, and then the next week, they're losing most of that game to the Redskins. Not only do they come back and win the game, but then the miracle cover. And you know what? For anybody that had Washington last week as a bet, I really, truly feel bad for you because that
was terrible.
That has to go down as one of the worst beats.
I don't know. That under in the
Oh,
San
yeah, did you
Francisco
get-
game, I don't know, might have just toppled all of that. That was brutal as well.
Yeah,
So.
absolutely. And that reminded me of, what was it, the Ohio State-Wisconsin game several years ago, or was it Northwestern?
I didn't get it.
One
Neither of
in the Big
those
Ten.
affected me.
The scoop and, you know, the scoop and scores, that's bad. But I'm on Philadelphia here, and you know what? The fact that they won those two games ugly, you know what? All that matters is they won the game. And now they put themselves in a position, they win on Sunday, the division's theirs. That's what it's all about. I'm on Philadelphia, and here's a little stat for you with Peterson and head coach. Since he's been there at Philadelphia, at home, if they're coming off a win in their last game, they are 11-3 against the spread since he's been coached there. I'm taking the Eagles.
Oh, okay. I don't hate it. I know exactly what you're saying, but it is ugly. It is a tough pill to swallow. And now, for the time you guys have all been waiting for, we've now broken down this week's NFL card every single way we can. So it's time to roll out this week's best bets. You guys already know what my best bet is. We'll talk about it here in a minute. That's why I was frantically trying to bet it mid-show. VR, we're going to go to you first. Please give us your best bet for NFL Week 16.
This will be one of the world's fastest best bets because you just gave all the reasons why I'm on the Philadelphia Eagles.
What?
Plus
I love
the points
it.
over the Dallas Cowboys. The wrong team's favored. Let's not forget, New England went into Philadelphia only as 4-point favorites. Seattle went into Philadelphia. I think that game was a pick-'em. Where's Dallas going into Philadelphia as a favorite?
I think that's
Doesn't
very
make any
fair.
sense to me.
It doesn't. I think you.
It's all perception of Philly not looking good, playing bad teams, and Dallas coming off a primetime game where everyone was on the Rams and they couldn't believe how great Dallas looks. And now Dallas,
I mean,
it's a
but the
rival
week
at
prior, they
Philadelphia.
couldn't believe how great the Rams looked when the Rams were my best bet. I mean, I think that this is you have to have a short-term memory in this profession. You cannot just buy into what you saw on Sunday and Monday night.
This is where you throw my quote out that I do all the time. No team's as good
yeah.
as their best game. And we saw the Cowboys have their best game on Sunday.
Yeah.
They needed it.
They're not the kind of team that continues.
They had
you
three.
see their
Don't forget,
inconsistency all
too,
year.
and that was something that everybody, just chose to ignore last week. Is they had 3 extra days to prepare for that, but they still wanted the Rams.
Everybody hated them because they just lost to the Bears on Thursday night.
That's what they saw. They remembered what they saw. Recency bias.
Good grief. Okay, Marco, you are up.
I am going, and we'll talk about recency bias. Is there anybody more popular right now than the New Orleans Saints?
No.
The Saints are at, coming off the 48-46 game against the 49ers, which they looked as good as they possibly could look on that Monday night game. And now they are on the road, a 3-point favorite against Tennessee, a team that has to have that game. Tennessee has to have this game on Sunday because not only are they fighting for the division, which they're going against Houston next week. People could say they're looking next week to see the Houston game. That's what it's going to come down to. But if they lose that game, they're still trying to position themselves to get the wild card, which they're the only team that can catch the Steelers. The Steelers control their own destiny as far as the final wild card goes. They can't get the 5th seed because they lost to Buffalo last week, but the Steelers own the 6th seed. If they win out, Tennessee's locked out of the wild card, and their only chance is the division. So this is a game that Tennessee needs to get. Last week, the Saints, the defense wasn't tested. Indianapolis had no chance in that game. You watched the game, and we both had the under, and I kept saying, keep tossing that shutout because that's the only way we were going to get it as long as the Saints were tossing the shutout.
Everybody on Twitter was like, oh, you got it, you're fine, you're fine. I'm like,
no,
they
you don't.
They have their foot on the gas. You're up multiple scores and you have your foot on the gas. That is not what an underbacker wants to see.
And here's what you're going to be surprised with Tennessee. They have the number 4 rated offense at yards per play. They're rolling right now at 6.3 yards per play. And that is including the first portion of the season when Marcus Mariota was the quarterback. You talk about if you would take the stats just like the last 5 or 7 weeks,
and I use this
they're higher.
You have to remember these are night and day different quarterbacks. They're literally flip side, mirror images of one another flipped.
Yeah.
If that makes really any sense. Tannehill is more of a pass-happy quarterback. They're not running the ball as much, which is kind of shocking to me.
But they're still getting, they've had 4 straight games where they've had over 150 yards rushing because what has happened is when they do rush the football, because teams are respecting the pass now, they can't, jam the line come up to try to stop the run because that's all they were worried about with Mariota.
Well, yeah, just Mariota and Derrick Henry, that's all you have to do is if you can stop the run, you can beat the Titans.
Absolutely, and this is not that team anymore. I think they win this game, and you've got an indoor team going outdoors. I've got Tennessee here.
All right. Well, you guys already know who I'm betting. All right, we already talked about it a little bit earlier in the segment when I popped up the screen and I go, 5.5, some 6s. I knew if there was still 5 available, I needed to get on it. So I apologize for that crazy line move live during Bet On It. That being said, we are on the Minnesota Vikings Monday night. I'm trying really hard to get to this game, and it's not going to happen. I'm kind of disappointed. This is a fun place to watch a game if you haven't.
You want to meet Zimmer, Coach Zimmer. You've got a crush on Coach Zimmer. You can admit it. You got a man crush.
I have a monetary crush on Coach Zimmer. Coach Zimmer has made me so much money, especially as a home favorite here.
He's your sugar daddy of coaches.
There you go. Because you know why? Exactly what I need coaches to care about. He cares about covering the spread.
Covering the number.
I don't care what anybody says. The man knows and cares. He's going to punch it in when need be instead of kick field goals.
Going to run all over Green Bay, dude.
Those are the kind of men I need in my life. As I mentioned earlier, we don't know if Dalvin Cook, we're filming on Wednesday afternoon per usual. We don't know if Dalvin Cook is going to be a go. If he is, he probably won't be 100% healthy. Looks like Adam Thielen's going to be back. Marco kind of alluded to it. I saw a tweet this morning that said 77% of the tickets at one particular offshore book were on the Green Bay Packers. Why? Because Kirk Cousins in primetime. Who doesn't want to bet against Kirk Cousins in primetime? This is a divisional rivalry here. I like the Minnesota Vikings. I still got 3 minutes of stuff to talk about, and I can't because I just like the Vikings, and that's all that matters. So we're going to do a fun...
Give us a question.
Yeah.
Tell us a
we're
question now.
we got a couple of Ask the Experts questions. Here's a good question. At Hawk Paper Scissors asks, with all these primetimes unders catching so well this year, I would love to know your thoughts on the Saturday games this week. Do you guys classify these as primetime games, being that they're the only games that are on? Marco.
The Saturday night game,
Okay.
absolutely, because it's Sunday, it's Saturday. You got one game at 1 o'clock. You got one in the middle of the afternoon. That's the same as a Sunday. I know they're standalones, but for me, I don't think you're going to see that. But we did talk about the one game, the Houston
Tampa Bay under. It's already been steamed.
Well, because the books, they want to stop this freight train. I was on a radio show on Monday where we had the sports book director from Stations, and I flat out asked him, what can you do to stop this train that's coming in on all of the overs? And the only thing we can do is
Jack the lumber.
We got to keep putting the numbers up, and that's what they're doing. And they are anticipating more money because it is a Saturday game and it'll be the only game being played. So they put this total, in my opinion, 2 to 3 points more than it should have been.
VR, we have about a minute left, so quickly here, but do you anticipate this one ever coming back up?
Yeah, because it's moved so significantly. That's why.
Okay. So if you like the under, along
and it's
with
just
the steam.
plus EV. You're talking about 49, 50, 51, 52. Those are some important numbers around that 50.
Okay.
I think anyone that got down under 53, you almost have to. And the guys that did get under 53, they have that mindset where it's automatic to them. They're going to play that over. There's just how low is it going to get before they do some buyback.
Okay, perfect. I like this kind of stuff. Educating the people. My man, VR, man of the people over here.
Man of the people.
No, it's true, because I do think that that's important, and that's where I made a joke actually on Twitter on Monday, and I go, talk about getting the best of the number, Kelly. Yeah. It was 48, 47 and a half all across the board. Sure enough, closes 49, 49 and a half, and I'm going, I knew better. I knew I should have waited closer to kick, but I was a little nervous with other things going on. So we're going to step out for a quick break, but when we return, it's our final thoughts on this week's NFL action. That's right, best bets up next on Bet On It.
I'm Gianni the Greek Corrales. I came to Wager Talk in 2018, turned in a winning year. As we close out 2019, take a look back. I'm up money over the last 7 days, up money over the last 30 days, and up money over the last 365 days. So it'll be another winning year, and that's what less than 1% of sports bettors are able to do. So here's what I'm going to give you. The rest of the year till the end of December for only $119. That's college football, NFL, the bowl games, college basketball, NBA, which we're over 65% in each of those sports. Plus, you'll get UFC, NHL, everything that's going on between now and the end of the year, $119. Jump on board.
Hey guys, I'm Lawrence Presman, the Prez, co-founder of Wager Talk. Excited that you're all watching Bet On It. Just want to tell you guys about our hockey show, Puck Time. It's honestly the best show that I do all week. We do it with all of the hockey talent over at Wager Talk and Sports Memo, from Alex B. Smith to Dave Koken, Carmine Bianco, Buster Sports, myself, and Andrew McGinnis. Different co-hosts every day. It's hockey all the time, and it's one of the best sports to bet on, and certainly the most exciting sport to watch. Check us out 2 p.m. Eastern every day, Monday to Friday, at Wager Talk TV.
All right, this is the time of the show where you guys fast forwarded through all the fun stuff, and now you get the recap. Let's start off with the primetime games from this week. Saturday, Marco likes the LA Rams, and I can't disagree. Mr. Greek Gambler over there likes the under, and I don't hate the under either. This one's a little scary for me, but I'm pretty sure he's probably on the right side. Sunday Night Football, the Chiefs. Go figure. We're all betting against the Chiefs. Can Kansas City fans hate us anymore? We got Chicago up to 6. You may see some 6.5s. Keep an eye on this one, guys. As Marco alluded to, there probably will not be any 7s out there. They will get gobbled up quickly. And Monday night, this game has bounced back and forth. It was 4.5, 5, 5.5, even a 6 popped up there for a minute. Of course, just when I went to lock in my teaser bet. Speaking of teasers, let's go to the teasers. Marco, you like Atlanta -1 and the Giants +8. And I can't disagree. While VR and I both do like Jacksonville, Atlanta probably will win that game. Gianni, and I both like New England down to -1.5. Minnesota.
It's a great looking teaser.
Yeah, I
Minus
got
a
it.
half, not 1.5.
Yeah, sorry, -0.5, and Minnesota +0.5. Of course, I have Minnesota pick 'em. Not that that half point is going to matter that much, guys. This has not been my week to get the best of the numbers. It is what it is.
It's like the stock market. You think you lock it in?
No, you know what? My media appearances are getting in the way of my betting. Okay, Marco. Let's go to barking.
I'm sorry you have to
No,
work.
Let's go into barking. Oh, I'm sorry. The Steam game of the week from VR is Houston -3. Marco has got one last stinky sandwich for you guys. That's right. Arizona +9.5. Up next, we got a few barking dogs. That's right. The Philadelphia Eagles and the Jacksonville Jaguars. Some disagreement there with VR and Marco, but overall, I like Jacksonville +7.5.
Atlanta wins by 3. We're all happy.
Everybody's happy.
Yeah, except I'd still like to get that plus money on Jacksonville. Okay, fine. And best bets. Marco's on the Tennessee Titans. VR. I thought your best bet was Philadelphia.
I know, it was.
What happened there? All right, well, now you guys are getting 2 best bets from VR. He gave out Philly. Our
the Jets,
graphics
too. I like 'em
say
both.
the New York Jets. He does like both. I also like both. I also like the Minnesota Vikings. I hope you guys enjoyed tonight's show as much as we do doing it every single week. Don't worry, we're going to be back for the NFL Week 17 next week. Until then, Merry Christmas.
Oh, yeah.
Happy Hanukkah.
Happy holidays to everybody.
Everybody, thank you for tuning in. Until next week, let's bet on it.